What's up, everybody? Welcome to the Canes Insight Daily Podcast afternoon edition, powered by Anajar and Levine Accident Attorneys. How to bring in a real insider here. This is going to be a pretty interesting show. I had to push my mic a little bit. Be an interesting show. We always hear about, hey, I know a guy. We got the guy on here, the real guy. And we'll talk to him in a second.
It's not me.
It's not you. But Pete, just in general, man, I was there this morning, actually watching practice and just being around the building the past few weeks. The vibes are impeccable. It feels different. It just feels like people in the heck, people around the program. They're always excited this time of year. They're always positive, right? But it's something a little different. At least that's the sense I get when you have a veteran quarterback like Carson Beck doing this thing. These big corners looking so much different than last year. It just feels like a different vibe.
Yeah, and you got the health in a good place. You've got the body types looking how they're supposed to look, as we've said all camp long. And like you said, just people that have seen it at other places, people that are, usually very realistic in their view of what, where this team stacks up in a national perspective are confident, man. And I think we are too. You guys always get on me in the group chats because I can be negative at times. Here I try to be as real as I can, but at the same time, we're always positive about the outlook of things, I feel like. But I'm being like extra positive this year. That's just what I feel, and what I've seen and heard. And like you said, we'll bring someone on here in just a moment that has the privilege of seeing it himself. So there's other people out there who are seeing it with their own two eyes as well, D.
Yeah, first Plank Time, appreciate you. He has his one thought, F Notre Dame. So there's the expert analysis from Plank Time. Appreciate all your support. So we did this spot for the Orchid Man, who were like, who's the Orchid Man? What's the Orchid Man? Who's the Orchid Man? So we'll bring on here the Orchid Man, Jose himself. And it's not just about what he knows about landscaping, which is a ton, which we'll talk about. This guy is the insider's insider, man. He has been around the program for a while. Before I even knew him, I recognized his face just from practice and seeing him around and everybody shaking his hand, saying, who is this guy? Why is everybody shaking his hand? Then now got to know him, proud to call him a friend. The uncle of CanesInSight, great Noah Perez, by the way, and also the top landscape artisan in South Florida and a top insider, Jose G. Perez, the Orchid Man. How we doing?
How you doing, D? What's up, Peter?
How'd you like that intro right there? I had to get you hyped a little bit.
Yeah, now I'm nervous now.
Freshly tanned from the Dominican Republic, right?
Yes,
you were coming on the show. So, Jose, for those that don't know, obviously I explained, you've been around the program quite a bit. So when did you first start really being around the program and seeing kind of behind the scenes? Well, not getting to too specifics, but just what did you really start getting a view that was different than the actual fan view?
Listen, I'm no different than everybody out there. I have been a Hurricane fan since I was, as 7-8 years old. I've grown up watching the Canes, seeing exactly what the Canes were, and dreaming ever since of them, being those teams again. And I have been frustrated, like many fans have been frustrated over the years, and unfortunately not getting the type of victories and wins on the field that we would like. And I started getting involved, more intricately after Mario got there in 2022. And very simply, I'm a believer in Mario, and I say this over and over again. If Mario and this staff can't get us back to where, to the prominence that we all want, then I think it's a long haul if we don't have success with Mario. So I got involved in 21 with the team, when 22 when Mario got there, and I went to practice right away, and I have been involved with the team ever since. And I tell you, it's night and day from that first practice that I step onto that green tree practice field. And when you see that type of players that we had back then, and it's only been 4 years, and you see the type of players that you see today, there's a lot to be hopeful about. And I see the ones, and I see the twos. I see the sizes on the offensive and defensive line. I see the obviously we were blessed to have Cam Ward last year, and it's a shame that the season ended as it did. But I see a potential in Carson Beck that everybody in this country is absolutely crapping on. And I like that. I like the fact that everybody is underestimating what we are and who we are. I like to be the underdog. I don't like to be the prima donna Archie Manning, University of Texas. I'd rather be in the position that we are today than a lot of other programs.
All right, by the way, Austin Thomas, appreciates your support. It's funny, Jose, the second you jumped on, we had somebody asking, all right, we got some baseball talk now. So people already know, they recognize your face, I'm sure, from the light, because you're huge in that program as well. We'll have those conversations also. I know you're excited about that. But you picked up on the reason I asked you the question, which is you were there to see a transition and to see a process kind of develop, right? And, you talked about it, the body types and just things changing. It's hard to explain. You guys see it on TV, so you see it yourselves. But like when you're there in person, you really, it hits you a different way, at least for me. Just saying like, man, I remember being here 2 years ago and it did not look like this. And also it just feels like, you talk to guys, the confidence that you're hearing from others. Like before, like coaches are always excited about a season, right? But from being inside, sometimes you're like, this position's a little dicey here, and we're going to have to do some smoke and mirrors over here, and it could have some tough time here. Not that there's no weaknesses now, but just the confidence level that I'm getting from people is, at least to me, feels night and day from even last year with Cam Ward. I mean, there was issues last year that they knew about. This year, there's still going to be things they got to work out, but I sense so much more confidence.
I mean, listen, you go from a 5-7 year one to a 7-5 year two. We make the big jump in year three, but it's still a surprise to people, right? Yeah, you go into that roster, as much success as we had, because we had lightning in a bottle with Cam Ward. That guy was, one of 10,000. I mean, he's not your normal person, human being, or a quarterback.
Who you got to know, by the way. So you're not just speaking off what you're seeing in interviews. I mean, this guy's the real deal behind the scenes as well.
He was something else. I've rarely seen a kid like that, as serious as he was, as hardworking as he was, as great a family and support system as he had around him. Was really impressive to watch. So you go from 5-7 to 7-5. We're all hoping for a good year, but the reality is that rosters take time to build. So as excited as we were to start 9-0 and end, unfortunately, in the fashion that we ended, it's disappointing. I mean, you can't beat around the bush around that. I mean, it is what it is. But I sensed from the beginning, as soon as the season ended, and we started, working the portal the way we've worked it, and being able to land Carson, and been able to land, and a lot of people, obviously Carson's a big name, but the additions that we have made in the portal have been very good additions. The linebacker from Rutgers, Torre, the BYU wide receiver, and again, people aren't familiar yet, but they're going to get familiar starting on August 31st. Chamar Brown is a serious talent, serious body, bruiser, and he's going to surprise a lot of people in this town starting in a couple of weeks.
So we got a question. Someone's asking if this is the DJ from the Hard Rock Stadium. So Jose, did you have a DJ background? Do you DJ on the side? People are wondering if you're DJ volume when they're seeing you on the screen there.
No, no DJ.
No DJ. But listen, for those who don't know, we did the intro, but Jose's been at practice. He's seen it up close. Then there's not just kind of reading stuff and repeating it. He's seen this himself. Who's one guy or two, or just I'm just kind of giving you the platform here that you walked out there not expecting to see maybe, and you were turning to your side like, oh man, who's this guy? Or this guy's big, this guy's good. Who's somebody that just going there for the practice that you've been to that you say, wow, this guy's is a big time dude.
The two kids that really continue to stand out to me are Josh Moore and Malachi Tony. I think Malachi Tony is obviously going to get more playing time earlier, but I think I would not be shocked if those two kids were in the starting lineup on Sunday of next week. Josh Moore is a serious body, good hands, hardworking kid. Malachi Tony, that kid's ready. That kid's ready to go.
Consistent, man. It's crazy how you see Beck, he treats him almost like he's a veteran. He throws the ball up and we're all standing there on the sidelines. It's like no one doesn't think he's going to get the ball. No one's like, oh, I hope he catches this one. It's like, it's a no brainer.
And I tell you, Carson's mentioned it a lot. A few times is when they may be young, Moore and Tony and JoJo. It's a new cast of characters. But he has said it multiple times to me that this group is better than any group he ever had at Georgia, which is hard to believe.
It's exciting, man. Certainly the offensive line is going to give him time too to get the ball to these receivers, the running game. And Beck, you've been around him a little bit. I get the sense it kind of reminds me of Mark Richt when he came from Georgia. Obviously, Beck is a young man. Richt was having health issues and older, so that aspect's totally different. But just in terms of he seems like there's a weight lifted off his shoulders. Obviously, huge expectations, and he's got a lot to do here in terms of what to accomplish. So it's not like there's no pressure, but it just doesn't feel like there's unnecessary pressure. He just feels, to me, loose, relaxed, ready to play football and show everybody how good he is. That's the vibe I get. I don't know what vibe you get from him.
It's the vibe I get around the whole entire program. It's a down to business, do your job, do your drills. There's not a lot. I'm not hearing, in those practices a lot of screaming like I heard that first year. I hear people and coaches that know where to, know what to do, know where to be, moving around in a silent, confident way. And I tell you, listen, this could all be very different a month from now or 6 weeks from now. But I feel very, very good, and I feel very confident in the staff, in the work that has been done to date with the coaching staff and the players. And I wouldn't be shocked at all to see us, in a very good position here in a few months.
So we got comments. People are saying you're drinking Kool-Aid. You're drunk off the Kool-Aid.
Yeah, who that was that Filete saying?
No, Filete's not. People were probably watching the show or wondering who Filete is.
Wait till Filete gets on the podcast, because he says I'm always drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm not drinking the Kool-Aid. I'm realistic. I am as frustrated a fan as anybody else has been over the past 20 years. But for the first time in a long time, I am a believer that this program is on the right path. We have the right people. We have the right administration to support Mario and his staff. And it's exciting times. And by the way, listen, we have challenges like every university and every school. No, there's no panacea in anything in life, but I am as excited as I can be, and I say this all the time, Dennis. The Canes, and especially Canes baseball and Canes football. I am excited about Jai and basketball as well, but it's the last passion that I really have.
Aside from
And
getting ripped.
yeah, it's the last passion that I have. You know, I really don't. NBA doesn't move the needle for me anymore. The Dolphins don't move the needle for me anymore. You know, the only passion that I have for myself and my family is the Canes, and my family is well aware of how I drive them crazy with the Canes.
I'm glad you called out Filete. The guy sent me a text yesterday, a couple weeks ago, saying I was getting fat. You know, compared to Filete, I look like the Orchid Man when it comes to
The most
physique.
negative human on the planet.
All right, hold on. We got some comments here. So Plank Time saying Kool-Aid for everything or for everyone. Shout out to Plank Time. Ghost and Von Donaldson saying this guy rocks. Rob saying I drink a beer with this guy. Then it goes into Von and says smokes rock. So I don't know which one we're getting there. There's some Kool-Aid, fellow Kool-Aid drinkers here. Nico Jones, shout out to you. So yeah, man.
I gotta say, I mean, I'm normally on, like I said in the intro, I'm normally on the negative side too, but I'm believing big. I really am.
I'm gonna say one thing about. Oh, go ahead.
We have eight home games. Okay. Yes, this game on the 31st is a big game because everybody wants to start on the right foot. But man, the beauty of the way the college system has changed is that before we used to lose one game, the season was over. You know, that's not the case anymore. The case is win the ACC, compete at a high level, get to the ACC championship, which, you know, for me, that's the number one goal. And then let's see where the chips fall. I mean, let's see what happens.
So the comments are going crazy. Plank Time, I'll love you, baby. Appreciate all your support. He says, if we win Sunday, I'll drink the Kool-Aid even as a diabetic. So there we go, man.
My daughter Daniela is a diabetic too, so I'll send some Kool-Aid over to her as well.
There we go. Play by the rules says, great guest, guys. A grounded Cane with a lot of hope. That's exactly who he is, man. Grazing Cane says, I have a buzzing with this dude, man. Appreciate you. And plug in the sponsor. There we go, buzzing. We'll talk about them in a second. 26 is saying, I'm late to the show. Has Pete called Beck the best quarterback in program history yet? Not yet.
Not yet.
Oh, wait, we got the Orchid Man. We'll get him back here in a second. I want to get to a story here in a second here. But look at this. Kim Eber, man. Appreciate you, man. He's watching the show, juggling with two jobs. I appreciate you, man. Hopefully, you know, on your breaks and when you get a second, this gets you your day moving a little faster, man. So we appreciate you 100%. Rod Vick saying it's probably the biggest pitcher of preseason Kool-Aid I've ever consumed. Hopefully it's not on the bathroom floor in 2 weeks. Family faith. There he is. Yeah, we got a lot of stuff here. Wait, hold on. Someone's saying Pete's got that look today like one of our stars got nicked up yesterday. No, man, we're all good. We're all good. Sergio's saying Notre Dame fans cut his stream. Are you getting hacked by Notre Dame fans? That's what Sergio's saying.
Sorry, man. I had an incoming call there on my cell. I do have to work for a living.
He does. That's a fact. We'll talk about that in a second. But I want to point out one thing. Okay, I will put on a story about you, Jose. So all the Kool-Aid stuff. I was with you at the light. I want to say it was the Florida State series, and I was standing next to you. I won't say where we were, but it was a very exclusive place. And we did not look good. This was like the bottom of the season. This was at the lowest point of the season. And I'm a pretty optimistic guy. I was not seeing the light at the end of the tunnel. There were pitching issues at that time. We hadn't turned to the freshmen yet. We were looking pretty bad. Offense was terrible. And you go, don't worry about it. This is the tough part of the schedule here. It's front loaded. We're going to go on a run here when the schedule eases up. And then you're going to see what this team's about. This team's tighter than any team we've ever been around. Let's talk about baseball now. Tighter than any team we've ever been around. The intangibles are crazy. This is going to be a great team. I at that point, even me, who's the Kool-Aid server of the year, looked at you like, he's drinking the Kool-Aid. And sure enough, like pretty much right after that was the Pitt series, and it was off and running, man. So
it was a great season to be around that team. Very special group of kids. You know, I saw it from the get-go in the fall. You know, my son Beto is best friends with Dorian Gonzalez, so I was able to kind of get a front row view of how things were progressing as the season was, as the fall was going on. And one of the things that's a sure tell sign of a tight knit group of a tight knit team is, if they hang out together. And from the beginning of the fall of last year, that team was together all the time. And they went to baseball and they went to football games in the fall, basketball games. They were always together. They were always at somebody's house. They were always having a barbecue. They were always going out. And that's a short tell sign of a tight knit team. And, I have been, my son was best friends with Ari Altiaga, which is JD's son. And, I always say that they, my son and Ari brought, JD and Isha into our lives, and we became, best friends as we are today. And I always say that JD and I played baseball when we were young, and I do have a picture which I'll bring on one day of him and I on an all-star team. But he had no idea who the hell I was. I knew who he was, obviously, because he was always an absolute stud. But I bring that picture out all the time as a joke. And I saw it in January as spring practice started, and we did have a very difficult schedule at the beginning of the year. Going out to Wake Forest was a tough schedule. Going to North Carolina was tough. Going to Virginia was tough. So that March was extremely, extremely challenging. And by the way, it had us all, we were all very, I was concerned, obviously. Canes fans all over Dade County were concerned, obviously, because when you have the kind of history that Miami has in baseball and in football, there's certain expectations that we just can't get out of our systems, So we went to Wake Forest and got swept by Wake Forest, and it was tough times. It was not looking bright. But after that, as that Pitt, which we should have swept Pitt at Pitt, but we took 2 out of 3, and things just started to meld. And it took a lot of courage, and I say this all the time, by that staff to be able to make the decisions on the fly that they did. Moving Walters to the closer role, and then bringing in Darius and Siskar, which were true freshmen, into the rotation. We lost Robert too, and that was a big loss.
Great kid. I saw him the other day. He looks like he's getting better.
He's gonna get better. He is getting better. So, long story short, I don't want to talk too much about baseball because we're still a few months away from that. But things just lit up. Something happened, and it was a team that had a lot of faith in God. It was a very united team. It was a team that I wish a lot more people in this community would have gotten to know, because in this day and age of NIL, where kids just come and go, building a roster is very difficult. It's difficult on the coaching staff, and it's difficult for the players that are freshmen that are coming in, and that team was something very special. And I'm very excited about what's going to happen here next year, because we got some players coming next year.
Yeah, well, and we'll be talking about baseball plenty. We'll have to bring you back on, because I know that's definitely a passion of yours, and we've had a ton of great conversations baseball wise. So, but I wanted to tell that story just really because you believed at that point, and again, I'm the most positive guy. I was like, I don't see a path here. This is not going the right way, and you were absolutely you were dead on. So that's why I wanted to bring that up. But just on football, Jose, like this Notre Dame game, I was around today talking to people, and we'll talk about this offline. I'm sure a lot of this you already know, but the guest list potentially for this Notre Dame game, and not talking about like unofficial visitors. I'm talking about like the icons of the United States, like some of the biggest names in the country, in the world, financial titans, sports titans, like huge people are going to this game. It just feels like there's obviously we're local, we're Cuban guys from around here. We're part of this program. We're going to be around, but it seems like there's just so much more energy around this program and this university and everything going on. I mean, you got to feel that, right? That the energy that's around this program, what was happening.
There's been an elevation in college sports, and college sports to me is no different these days than professional sports. These kids are getting paid. It's attracting a lot of money into these universities. It's it's not amateur ball anymore, and people want to be around it, and people want to be exposed to it. And at the end of the day, there's nothing like passion for your university. There's nothing like passion for your community. And people out there, a lot of people out there need to get involved, and they need to show up with their wallets, with their tickets, and with their passion, and support the university, and support these kids, and support this coaching staff. On a daily. We're gonna win, we're gonna lose. There's only one champion at the end of the year, and we need to support the Canes. If you're a real Cane, I always tell Fileta, you're a real Cane, but you're not a real Cane because you're always every chance you get, you're slamming us. Yeah?
I'm so glad you're doing this.
I can't wait to send this to him. I can't wait.
So before we talk about just Orchid Man Florida real quick, this roster compared to last year? I know you were at practices for both. You were at scrimmages for both. I saw you there. Is this roster, this team on paper, I know they got to play the actual games, but having seen everything last year and having seen up to now, right, 2 scrimmages in, do you feel this team this year is better than last year's team, and why?
I mean, listen, we addressed, to me, the quarterback position, which is the most important position in the field, is going to be equal. I hate to say equal because Cam Ward was such a special human, but it's going to be. We're going to be in good shape there, and I have Carson has a quiet confidence that I really like about him, and he goes about his business in a very professional manner, and he's a very smart kid. Overall, the roster, obviously, everybody knows that the issue with our team last year was the secondary. I think that's been addressed. One kid also, which you have to, I was surprised about, because a lot of times, when they come from your alma mater, you always have a little doubt about. But Bryce Fitzgerald has come in here in July, and has been a very impressive addition to that secondary as well. So the secondary was addressed, and then you bring in somebody like Bryce, and he looks the part, and he looks like he'll be able to log in some snaps as the season progresses. So I'm if you ask me, are you concerned about one position? I'll tell you what worries me the most, and that's the kicking game. That to me is the only position that
we'll see on that, right?
I have some doubts about.
I think if anyone says that they know that we're going to be good there, that's just a complete guess, because you don't know. So
you don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you really don't know. But I mean, I think they addressed linebacker. I think they addressed, I think they addressed the secondary. I think they, again, the receiver position to me is there's talent there. Yeah, they don't have the snaps, but they're going to produce. The running back position, is there anything to talk about? O-line, what is there to talk about? Would I want another D lineman or D tackle? Yeah, I mean,
Everybody would.
Who doesn't? I mean, those are players that are not readily available and hard to come by, and everybody and their mother is looking for. So, overall, the ones and the twos look good. I'm a believer in Mario. I'm a believer in D-Train. I'm a believer in Alex Mirabal and what he's doing. Let's rock.
You got me fired up here. So real quick, before we let you go, we got to talk about Orchid Man, Florida.
I got to hop off here, guys, because I'm going to go to this Columbus Southbridge game now. I'm going to get
your alma mater there.
I'm getting back on the ground level here, trying to get some high school recruiting info, man. So let's see what we got out there. Later, guys.
All right, Peter.
Pete. I had to push you because all you want to talk about is Canes football, but I want to talk about Orchid Man, Florida, just so people understand. Obviously what we're talking about. We talk about the landscape artisans, right? We talk about the folks that make things easy for you when it comes to the landscape. And so just real quick, who you are on the business side. I see you wearing the Orchid Man polo, right? It's like you're like Superman. You got the alter ego, but this is South Florida. People have houses. They want landscaping. They don't know where to start. Most people are not experts on landscaping. So they usually call a guy. Why should they be making Orchid Man, Florida, their first call?
I'll just tell you a little background. I started my company 17 years ago in 2008. It's funny. Some people want to be doctors and lawyers. I wanted to own a landscaping company since I was about 13 years old. Studied finance, worked in finance all the way into 2008 until my brother and my wife nudged me into starting this company, because every single time somebody would come to my home, they would always say, "Hey, who takes care of your landscaping?" I was like, I would do it. I did it myself. So it took a minute of to think about it, and I went, and my brother found me my first employee, and 17 years later, we never looked back. Very blessed to do what I do on a daily basis. We basically are a full service landscaping company. We do grounds maintenance, commercial maintenance, installation work, construction, installation, tree trimming, and irrigation. We service Dade, Broward, Palm Beach, pretty much handle very large, industrial construction jobs, and we handle small, home remodels.
So basically, if you're like a business, if you own a business, if you have a house, even if you're not, Dan Marino, this is something if you're interested in high quality landscaping, there are ways to connect with you and get that process started, right? You should be the first call, like the quarterback of this whole operation, right?
Yes, sir. Absolutely.
Fired up, man. No, listen, I love pulling up the Instagram. Those little trucks right there, that OM. I see that OM everywhere I go, it feels like. I'm sure if you're in the chat, you see that orange OM. If you're anywhere in South Florida, man, you've seen that OM humming around. I know in Coral Gables, I see that thing all the time. Miami Beach, where I'm at, I feel like I've seen that thing out here. It's just it's always running around, man.
We really service, primarily the areas that we do service are Pinecrest, the Gables, Miami Beach, and then a lot of just commercial spaces, a lot of warehouses and
Nike Town. I saw you guys did Nike, right? You did Nike.
Yeah, we did that Nike install. I have to do a better, and my wife says it all the time, I have to do a better job of promoting myself. I don't do a good enough job of it.
That's why you're here, man. To tell your wife that
Nike building. I probably did that. That was when Nike built that Nike store in Lincoln Road Mall. That must have been 10 years already. It's crazy.
Still, I pass by it every day. That's why I always ask about that one. Canes Cat saying, "Give us the scoop, Orchid Man. When is day one of fall ball?" I know you're going to be out there.
October,
I feel like that's my second most excited date.
October 14th.
It's going to be awesome. Great weather. Just sitting there watching these players. It's going to be an incredible offense. I know we're not talking baseball, but it's hard for me not to, and I want to have you on because I'm so excited for this next season. It's crazy, man. August 31st is my most anticipated date, but then I think that's my second most anticipated date.
Yeah, I love, man. I tell you, I can't wait until this Saturday, which is, football starts on Saturday. For me, as soon as the Little League World Series is over, I get so excited because I know football's here, and it's the best time of the year.
I love it, man. Well, listen, Jose, that you were awesome. Appreciate you joining us. OrchidManFlorida.com. And if you see him around, which if you're anywhere in Miami, if you're in Riviera Country Club, if you're in the Mark Light, if you're in Hard Rock Stadium, if you're at Green Tree Practice Field, you're going to see this guy right here. Or the gym. You're working out with like 25-year-olds running 800 meters running around. So they might see you out there.
I get lapped.
You're out there, man. You're out there and kicking butt. So, hey, Jose, man, appreciate you joining us. Appreciate all the shots.
Thanks for having me on, and thanks for everything you do for the Canes, man. You're much appreciated.
No, as are you, man. As are you. You're one of the reasons why this roster looks the way it is, and why your support of Canes Connection, your support of the Miami Hurricanes program is huge, man. So again, appreciate you. And
I really can't urge people out there enough to get involved. Give of your time, give of your money. The Canes are back, and I hate to say that word. I hate to say that, but we're on the right path.
I love it. Go Canes, baby. OrchidManFlorida.com. Let's go. All right, man. So fired up talking to Jose. I got the Kool-Aid pumping through my veins right now, ready to rock and roll. But yeah, man. Listen, that optimism that you see from him, that's what we're feeling around the program. That's not fake. That's what's happening. You talk to anybody around here, man, it just feels a little different. It just feels like I was talking to somebody today who, knows something about what the top rosters in this sport look like. And he was feeling extremely optimistic about what we have. I can't stress enough the improvement at corner. One name I want to highlight that I don't know if it gets enough attention, but when you talk to people, like this name comes up a lot, and just watching him, it's backed up by what he's doing on the field. Damari Brown, Damari Brown, number 2. He looks like, $1 million. The guy could not be a more physically impressive corner, just on the hoof, but then moving around, he can run, he can turn, he can find the football. He's well coached. His dad is former college defensive back. His brother's a former college defensive back. So, this is a guy who grew up in a defensive back family. He just happens to be built like a linebacker and hit like a linebacker. So we brought a lot of great guys. Obviously, Frederic is going to be one of the best corners in the country. Xavier Lucas, probably the best corner in the transfer portal. Ethan O'Connor, he's really making a lot of plays. I'm big on Ethan O'Connor. Charles Brantley's a proven college player. These are guys that just came in. But Damari Brown, homegrown, class of 2023, American Heritage. I'm telling you guys, a lot of energy around Damari Brown, and from what I've seen, that's totally justified. Liquid Enigma says, my son said that the vibe is different at practice. Sure feels that way, man. Sure feels that way. Just the character, the caliber of kid, the talent's increased, but also the character, I think, keeps increasing when you get better recruits. Typically, I always say there's no secrets. The guys that are the best character guys that play the best and are the biggest, most athletic, everybody wants them. We got more of those guys. So I think that's huge. One of those guys, Bryce Fitzgerald, Ron the Man saying, need to hear that. Bryce Fitzgerald, the true freshman on August 31st. You might be hearing that, man. He is something else. That guy is so athletic. Not only we know the ball skills are great, but man, he is so athletic and just smooth moving around. He really can get from point A to point B in a hurry. He doesn't look like he's running like super fast or anything. It's not like he looks like he's trying very hard. He actually looks very casual in everything he does. But it's not because he is casual. It's just because he's a great athlete, and he just those great athletes are smooth. Those are the guys that they move a little different than everybody else, and I think that's what you get with the Bryce Fitzgerald. So no, I'm a huge fan of that. There you go. Boosters like Orchid Man is what Miami Hurricanes need. That's definitely the truth. Matthew saying, I heard we have an exciting Canes Connection call tonight. Just renewed my subscription. Appreciate that, Matthew. Yeah, if you guys want to be on that call tonight, I think that is at, let me check the exact time. I believe it's at 7. but let me make sure exactly what time it is. But I'll be on that call, fired up to talk Canes with sports with Canes Connection members. Who that's the lifeblood of this whole thing, man. That's why the roster is so good. That's what we're talking about. These really good players is because of people like you guys who support Canes Connection. So that call will be tonight at 6 p.m. So 2 hours, a little over 2 hours. We'll be doing that call here. And it's going to be a lot of fun, man. I can't wait to talk Canes with everybody. I'll give you some more insight on stuff I can't really say in practice because there will be less boost. There will be it'll be boosters. It'll be Canes Connection members. It'll be you guys who really support, as opposed to like Notre Dame fans and Gators trying to get some information. So I'll be on there. So appreciate everybody joining Canes Connection. Like Matthew, remember to sign up with promo code CIS50. Get 50% off your first item. Want to give a shout out here. Hold on, let me scroll up, man. There's a lot of comments today. So a lot of comments. Everybody's drinking the Kool-Aid. Krista Marlins fan. My man Christopher said it was nice having lunch with you. Great having lunch with you too, Christopher. Your takes on the Dolphins. I'm a little concerned. My guy Christopher was at Dolphins practice. He's telling me the defense is looking way suspect. So if you're a Miami Dolphins fan, not getting good reports from my man Christopher at practice. But again, appreciate you, man. It was great lunch, great meeting you as well. So yeah, that's basically the way I'm feeling. Just very confident. The secondary, I think, is the biggest thing that I can say has just looks totally different. I think at corner, we're 4 to 5 deep, like legit. I was talking to someone about Deani Hill, and he was saying that like Deani Hill, he wouldn't even be in the picture on this team. I mean, it wouldn't even be a conversation of Deani Hill. No disrespect to him, but it's like there's the level of talent in this secondary is like just whole nother level. You guys got to see it to understand. Because when you're sitting there and you're looking at these guys, you're like, man, just the size is different, the movement is different, the ball skills, the confidence, the speed. I mean, I was watching the Georgia Tech highlights. I don't know why the other day, game we wish to forget, but that running back they have is like a sprinter. He's like a 4.4, 4.3 type guy, and OJ Frederic ran him down, with no problem. So, excited to see how that all goes. Brian saying ND pundit called UM's defense a scout team defense. I mean, that's how it looked like on film, yes, last year. So I get why they're so confident, but it's a different animal. I mean, think about when Manny came in. We saw Manny's defense did to Notre Dame. That defense looked like garbage before he got there, and then we saw what happened. So we'll see. We'll see on that. But overall, like I said, secondary, I cannot overstate the impact of Damari Brown, OJ Frederic, Xavier Lucas, Ethan O'Connor, Keontae Scott, who, by the way, I did an interview with Keontae Scott for Storm Session, so definitely check that out. Great kid, right there in the official channel. This guy was just awesome to talk to. Really cool guy, California guy. He's from Auburn, so you think he's from the South. He's actually from California, San Diego, and really enjoyed talking to him on Storm Sessions. A lot of good Storm Sessions episodes coming up, but that was a good one with Keontae Scott. So, man, appreciated sitting down with him. There he is throwing up the U. That was a lot of fun talking to Keontae. So check that one out. But he's going to be a big factor in the nickel. Talking about the secondary, Bryce Fitzgerald, I think, is going to be playing early. Don't forget about Jabari Antoine. If you're asking me, some young guys I think could play earlier than later. Bryce Fitzgerald's a name we always talk about. Chris Ewald's a guy who's been knocking on the door. But do not sleep on Jabari Antoine, man. He's coming back from his injury. He looks fast. He's making plays. He's doing a lot. Kellen Wiley saying Amari Wallace. I think he's been getting his hand on some footballs lately. So shout out to Amari Wallace, fully healed from that leg injury that he had in high school and really making a lot of plays. He's a big time playmaker. Champy saying, is my name being discussed in here? It was being dragged through the mud, justifiably so. Although shout out to Champy Seafood, some of the best seafood on the planet. But as for his football takes and his overall negativity, that's bottom tier. But appreciate your support anyways, Filete. So yeah, man, fired up. That's really all I got to say. Anybody got questions, go ahead and throw them in the chat. But my big takeaway is, like, leaving practice today, really the last week, really this whole camp, it's just good vibes, man. It's just good vibes. I'm happy with the health of the team. I mean, it's a camp, so people are banged up, but I don't think anybody's really losing a lot of sleep over injuries right now. I think people feel pretty good about where we're at. Certainly the Carson Beck piece, which was a big question going in, couldn't be happier. The secondary piece, which is a big piece piece going in. I feel great about that. The front seven, we'll see. You guys are going to see what it looks like. I'm very optimistic. Mo Torre, Wesley Bassaint, that linebacker. These are premium top of the line linebackers. Defensive line, Ruben Bain, people expect him to have a monster year, talking about a All-America type year. Everybody's believing the hype on him. I don't think it is hype. I think it's real, but I'm saying that it's not. People expect him to do what they're saying he's going to do, right? It's not like just, he gets a lot of hype, but we're worried about X, Y, Z. I mean, people think Ruben Bain is going to be dominant, and I do as well. David Blay is a name that's getting a lot of love up front with his ability to take on double teams. He's put on, I think, 25 pounds since he's been at Miami. He's like an NFL-type defensive tackle. A lot of excitement about him. I'm leaving a ton of people out, but I'm just highlighting a few names that just have been catching my eye recently on that first team. One guy that I think is going to have a huge role this year, I've talked about a lot, Armando Blunt. He's an animal, man. The guy's just, the way he plays is so hard, so aggressive that I'm just, I'm ecstatic. I cannot wait to watch Armando Blunt play. Blue says the coaches had a 3-hour meeting last night doing game planning for Notre Dame. I don't doubt it. They don't sleep. Brian saying, D, who do you predict to be the starting safeties versus Notre Dame? There's a lot of guys in the mix. They rotate a lot. So you see Marquise Williams get snaps with the ones. You see Bryce Fitzgerald get snaps with the ones. You see a lot of guys get snaps with the ones. Dylan Day is very talented. He's out there. If I had a bet, I would say Zechariah Poyser and Jacoby Thomas, the veterans. So SP1 saying Armando Blunt 8 sacks this year. I wouldn't doubt it. I just love what he brings to the table. I just love his energy for how talented he is. Very rare you have the guys that have the total package like him. Mohammed Hassan, what do you expect Bain to do against Notre Dame? I like to see a sack early, first couple drives. Wouldn't be shocked. I think Bain knows that's a good offensive line, and he's going to want to show himself. You think back to 2017, we heard a lot about that offensive line. Mike McGlinchey was a top 10 pick of the Packers. They had Quentin Nelson, who's one of the best guards of his generation. That was a loaded offensive line. And what happened very quick, we were busting them up, getting sacks. I remember Jonathan Garvin blowing by guys and getting sacks. So, yeah, man, there's some great ones. Backing up saying D-Money's favorites, Armando Blunt, OJ Frederick, and Malachi. I can't hide it, man. Those are guys that I love. I love watching them. I think they got the mental, the physical, the poise. It's all there. With Armando Blunt, I don't know much if it's as much poise as it is controlled rage. But I like what's going on mentally, and they all have all the talent in the world. My dad asking, who are the stars that will be at the Notre Dame game? Text me up after the show, but we'll see. It should be a packed house. Kind of like when you had A-Rod and Jennifer Lopez and all these guys. It's not going to be them. Maybe it will be. I don't know. They're not together, are they? Maybe they'll show up separately. But, yeah, a lot of people. It's going to be a hot item. Miami's hot right now. University of Miami is hot. Everybody's sending their kids here. It's having a moment. Admissions-wise, everything is having a moment. So we'll see how it goes. CP saying, we went on August 31st and flipped Cooper on September 1st. Hey, sign me up for that. I don't know if that's the case, but I do know that we're going to have a great shot at Cooper, and he's going to be there. So Miami's very confident that they do what they're supposed to do on the field, that they're going to be able to flip some guys. Gio's asking, so from what you've seen, is this a deep roster? Yes, it is. No rosters as deep as some of the old teams, like the old championship teams of like the 2010s. Some of those Alabama teams, Georgia teams. That's just not happening in the portal era because those backups get paid too much to leave. So it's just harder to get those guys like as your team. But I think for like this era of college football, we're deep. And everybody's asking if we're drinking Kool-Aid. I'll tell you what I'm really drinking, and that is Buzzin. DrinkBuzzin.com, BUZZN. Order a case today or two. I know I'm going to order one, or I got one on the way. Waiting for it. I'm checking the mail every day like I'm a little kid, like my kids waiting for Pokemon cards on their birthday. I'm out there checking the mail, waiting for the Buzzin to come in. THC infused, all legal. If you're 21 or over, it's legal. They got it in Florida. A lot of, I can't say where it's going because it hasn't arrived yet. But this week I should be announcing a lot of retail partners for Buzzin in South Florida. So they're rocking and rolling. But you can get it right now at drinkbuzzin.com. And it's awesome, man. 7.5 milligrams of real THC wrapped in bubbles, real fruit juice, 0 artificial sweeteners, bold in flavor, tastes great, low in calories, and 100% hangover free, which is what I'm over hangovers. I'm too old. but just want something cold, something getting a buzz on, something with bubbles while I'm sitting on the beach here in Miami Beach, Florida, watching some Notre Dame videos from last year, kind of sizing them up, getting ready for game day. Watermelon, cherry, strawberry flavor, raspberry, lemon, peach. Crack a can, take a sip, catch a buzz. Drink Buzzin'. That's BUZZN.com. Mo saying, find me at the tailgate. I got you. Lisa Snow, the way DJ's pug buzzing is elite. I appreciate that. I got to send that to him. Make sure they know. But I really am excited, man. I can't wait to get my my crates. I'm hoping it's crates. I need to drink those during the show. I need to calm down a little bit. I'm too excited. Over 1,000 on here. Yeah, like and subscribe to the show. What's heck I was saying? I think there's a whole lot of Kool-Aid drinking. I pray that Notre Dame doesn't humble us and stuff the run game. Notre Dame's pass game plays right into the Notre Dame's new defensive coordinator's hands specifically. Listen, Notre Dame is good, right? Notre Dame is good. That's why they're ranked where they are. That's why they were in the championship last year. No one's overlooking Notre Dame or anything like that, but they got good players. We got good players. We got guys that the NFL thinks are really good. We got guys that portal rankers and high school recruiting rankers think are pretty good. We got guys that other teams think are pretty good because those other teams were trying to spend a lot of money trying to get our guys. So we got good players. I think there's objective evidence, market-based evidence that we got really, really good players. And now it's time to deliver. Same as coaches, by the way. Heatherman's got a market value, or Shannon Dawson. Those are high market value assistant coaches. Now it's time to see what we got. Mr. Valentine with some choice words for Notre Dame there. Traveling Fools, yo, yo, yo. Yeah, man, people jumping on. Got almost 1,100 on here as we get close to 4 p.m. People winding down from work. It's Thursday. It's almost the weekend. So these afternoons, Thursday, Friday, they tend to go slow, especially as we get close to game week, man. Fired up. All right, everybody, like and subscribe to the show. Oh, before I forget, I talked about the Canes Connection call, which is at 6 p.m. If you're not a Canes Connection member, sign up. Promo code CIS50, get 50% off your first month. All the benefits, including being able to attend these private Zoom calls. But I had to talk about this one, which is tomorrow, Friday, 4 to 5 p.m. Please mark your calendars if you haven't already. 4 to 5 p.m. So right now is 4. So literally 24 hours from now to the dot. Miami Hurricane Team Store, right next to the University of Miami, US 1. Mario Cristobal meet and greet. Friday, August 22nd, 4 to 5 p.m. Mark your calendar. Get ready for the season by shopping for new gear, meeting Coach Cristobal. Promo code INSIGHT20 gives you 20% off your first item there, or online at MiamiHTS.com. But really, this event, you got to make it. I myself will be out there. Obviously, I'm lower on the totem pole here, but I'll be out there as well, most likely. Friday, August 22nd, 4 to 5 p.m. Meet and greet with the head football coach, Mario Cristobal. All right, fellas, like and subscribe. Mr. Wiley, I will see you next Sunday, celebrating, hopefully, toasting, having fun. Appreciate everybody joining us in the chat. Appreciate the Orchid Man, Jose Perez, with his insight. Appreciate everybody joining us here. Plank Time, love you. Everybody that supports this show, we appreciate you guys. Go Canes. Like and subscribe, baby.